Okay, Madam President, please open up this wonderful quarterly meeting.
This is the stupidest thing we've ever done. The meeting of the school board with our tour of the middle school for March 21st.
All right, thank you. We do have two quick action items. One pertains to the middle school. Monica Anderson has a group that to help their transition to freshman year. She's working with them all year, and they do an overnight annually. Usually, you all have to approve overnight field trips. Unfortunately, the trip is before our next board meeting. Our tax sheet starts the same day, so I had to bring it on today to do that. It's a great program to take some kids that are going to maybe have some difficulties going into freshman year and connecting them. So I'm asking for approval for that. The second one is an early literacy grant. The state gives money in terms of, it's called a grant, but it's really a stipend for K-1-2 teachers for early literacy. I think this year it was $338, something like that. And then if you are a support person in that same K-1-2, you get half of that. So certified and non-certified all get a stipend. They will get this at the end of their next paycheck, but we have to pass a resolution and then submit that by August the 4th or April the 4th. So those are the two things I'm asking for approval on.
Should we probably do them
We can do
separately?
these separately, yes.
So I need a motion for the overnight travel.
Motion to approve the overnight travel.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, passes. And then the early literacy stipend. Motion.
Move to approve the resolution to approve the early education stipend.
Okay, a second. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, passes.
All right, thank you very much.
Easy peasy.
This is Principal Holman, and she is going to give us a tour of the school. Both, we're going to have a presentation, and then we're going to get a walk and see what's happening in middle school life. We all wanted to go back to middle school, right? Everybody. So, with that, we have some people just walked in. If we could quickly introduce ourselves. Brett, we'll start with you.
Oh, sorry, Brett Jones, one of the new school board members, so appreciate you having us.
And Brett represents Needham Township.
Nope, City of Franklin.
Oh, City of Franklin, that's right. I lied.
But I live in East.
Dave is in Needham. Yes, yes.
David Young, the new school board member, and I represent Needham.
Exactly.
I'm Becky Nelson. I've been on the school board for a while, so and I represent Union Township.
I'm Debbie Gill. I represent Franklin Township. I'm another new.
Jennifer Mann and City of Franklin.
All right, well, thank you very much, Principal Holman.
I'll go ahead and get started, introduce myself, kind of tell you guys a little bit about me. My goal today is for you to learn about me, learn about us. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm very passionate about middle school and adolescence. I started in Franklin in 2000 as a 6th grade math teacher. Grew up in Greenwood, so I stayed pretty local. And then I got kind of, my journey in this education world has kind of been how things have just fallen into place. I was a 6th grade math teacher, but I was actually elementary certified. So I landed a job in Franklin, which is where I wanted to teach. Pam Milliken gave me an opportunity and was integrated into middle school and never left. Not only did I not leave, like I can't imagine working in any other area. I think that education's pretty nuanced. There's something to be said about what it takes to be an elementary school teacher, what it takes to be a high school teacher, and that can definitely be said about middle school. You know, as David joked, middle school is not probably our fondest of memories. When you think back, when I think back personally about elementary school, I have these fond memories, and I think about my teachers. I'll tell you, I don't think my elementary teachers were the best teachers in the world. I don't have bad memories of my elementary teachers. Same thing about my high school teachers. Like I I think about them differently. I didn't idolize my high school teachers like I did my elementary teachers, but it was all very, like, it was just school, and they were helping me, and it was fine. But when I think about middle school, it's like all the bad memories are the things that stand out, and that's very developmental. That's what our whole world is when we are in adolescence. So I'm very passionate about this age group. It, I think, officially is 9 to 15, but we are, everyone in this building, if you're not a teacher, is going through that phase in your life. So I'm passionate about what it takes to educate them. I think that our teachers are very special. I say all the time when I'm interviewing for positions at the middle school, you come and love it, or you come and leave it. And that happens. There are people who come and spend a couple years in middle school and they're like, not for me, I'll go to the high school, or not for me, I'll try elementary school, because it takes something very, very different to thrive. It takes someone like Kyle Hugo, right? Something very different
Work really hard.
to thrive in middle school. So I'm going to share just a little bit about our journey and how we ended up, a little bit about me and kind of my passion for middle school. In 2008, I think, is when we split, and I stayed at Custer Baker Intermediate School as a 6th grade teacher. And then in 2015, I jumped back over here as an assistant principal working under Steve Ahaus. Steve Ahaus, principal of high school teacher, very high school minded. When he joined the middle school, he had some items that he felt were really important, and they are very important. Literacy was really important, and he made a lot of changes pretty early on to the structure of our building, and it had some very positive impacts, but it also had some, I think, unintended consequences that we started seeing along the way. I'm going to talk to you today a lot about teaming, and I'm going to tell you what it is, what it looks like, and why it's really important. And the reason for that is because teaming is who we are. Like, when I talk about who we are and what we're about, like, we are teaming in this building. It is the core of who we are. It's how we exist, and it's integral in being responsive to these adolescent kids and meeting their needs. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit. So we did go away from teaming for a period of time. There were about 2 years, 3 years where we were away from teaming. David and the cabinet came over and did listening tours at all the buildings, and when they talked to the teachers at the middle school, they said, we need teaming back. Like, we just need it back. I will say, and to Steve's credit, when we went away from teaming, we were not doing teaming well. There's a way to do teaming well and a way to do teaming. And they weren't doing teaming well. So for him, it made sense to get rid of it. It wasn't truly thriving. It was a structure instead of an identity. And so it seemed like an easy choice. They went away from it, and we started seeing these little consequences of just leaving teaming in general. And so we formed a committee. COVID hit, and through COVID, we continued to work. We read books, and we visited schools, and we virtually visited schools through COVID, and asked questions about what does teaming, what is it, what makes it really important, how do we do it well, what are things that we as a building, teachers, admin, counselors, what are our big rocks in this journey, and then we made some decisions and presented, I think it was my last presentation maybe, to the board, was about why we need to go to teaming. Like, why is this? Because it's not cheap. It's not it is a costly endeavor, and it's not easy either. Teaming is a structure that requires a lot of sacrifice in the scheduling process. You could talk to our band teacher. She feels the struggles when it comes to scheduling when you're doing teaming the way teaming's done. But I will tell you 150,000% that it matters, and I'm willing to put in all of the work and the sacrifice because I think it's what's best for kids. During that time, one of the things that we did do in the interim was kind of decide what does it matter to us, like what are the important things when it comes to these adolescent kids, what do we need to do, what creates a positive experience for them, and those guiding principles for our building haven't changed. Connection, character, and growth are the 3 things. We say to kids all the time, they hear it every morning. You might hear it on announcements here, I don't think so. That you plug in, show you care, and value growth. Those are the things that matter in middle school. We want kids to connect. they're in a place in their lives where they're not very connected, but that's all they want is to be connected and to be a part of a group, to figure out what group they're in. Show You Care, we talked a lot about character and doing the right thing and putting structures in place, which is really important, so that they can show and demonstrate good character. Otherwise, they don't always make good choices in middle school. And then obviously, we're all here for individual student growth and to value that academic growth, but also the social growth, the emotional growth, the physical growth. I mean, you'll see kids come in. We have our Custer Bakers coming to visit on next week, and they always, the 6th graders come to visit, and they're so small, and then you look, and they have facial hair, and they're giant before they leave us, and their voices are changing, so they go through a lot of physical growth too. So that's kind of our journey to get kind of where we are now, and now I'm going to share who we are now and the things that matter to us. So I've shared a little bit about middle school kids, and my passion for them. I feel like 25 years in, I know middle school kids pretty well. I don't know that I'm an expert, but I certainly do have a lot of experience. I've not left middle school kids in my entire journey. I've not left Franklin, so I know Franklin middle school kids really, really well. They have a lot of very unique needs, I think, in adolescence. They need to connect. They need to have the ability to trust the people that they work with. That's really, really important. So establishing that trust is hard. We have 2 years with them. That's not a lot of time. And trust takes a while, right? So that's a huge piece of this. Certainty matters to middle school kids. They need to know what the expectations are, and then they need to be met with certainty. That kind of goes along with justice, because that's really important to middle school kids. They need to know what's expected, and then they need to be treated fairly. That's really important to adolescent kids. They are, might shock you to know, attention seeking. That's a need that they are fulfilling. Like, they need to have that need met. But they don't always know the best way to go about it, so sometimes it's negative attention that they end up getting. And also sometimes it's like, I really need attention, but I also don't want you to pay any attention to me at the same time. They are an oxymoron wrapped up in a nice little bow all day, every day, and this is the world in which we live as middle school educated. They go from, in elementary school, seeking the approval of their parents and their teachers and the adults in their lives. That's really important to elementary school kids. That's no longer what's important when they're here. They don't necessarily, they still innately want people to be pleased with them, but that's not socially what's important anymore. It's their peers. It's the people that they surround themselves with. They have to be accepted. I will tell you, this is only cool if the right kids are doing it, right? There are other times that we do these pack the house nights and there's 4 kids there. They determine on the daily whether something's cool or not cool. I showed up here my first year and they were having the 8th grade dance. And I was like, so excited. I remember my 8th grade dance. I'm like, that's one of the things that maybe isn't a negative, it's kind of a negative, it's awkward. I hated my dress, my hair, you know. But I was really excited about this, and I walk in to this dance, and there's like 50 kids there, and I was like, what is this? Like, why are we not? It's an 8th grade dance. And that was a personal mission of mine, to build that back up, to find ways. It's not cool for me. Like, I can't be like, guys, it's so cool, come to the dance, because they don't care. But to find ways, it's like, Jedi mind tricking middle schoolers that, like, you think this is cool, and then they do, and they come, and they have so much fun, and they love, but they have to be convinced strategically that the things that are cool are actually cool. I also joke sometimes that I could go around with cash and be like, here, guy, and they'll be like, I don't want that. And then they look around, okay, then I'll take it. Like, they just don't know. They have a really hard time kind of thinking for themselves. Also, a really fun aspect of middle schoolers is boundary pushing. It's very developmental for them to figure out kind of what's acceptable and what's not, what you'll allow and what you'll allow and what you'll allow. It's why from class to class, it's very different. Your mom had to run out. She's coming back. And that's important. Like but they also need boundaries. They want to push them, and that sometimes we get exhausted. I have conversations with parents who are just exhausted, and I'm like, one of you is going to give up first. It shouldn't be you. Like, they will push you and they will exhaust you, and they do that on the daily here. So boundary pushing is part of their development, but they really need strong boundaries and expectations of their behavior and all things, not just behavior, academics, all the things. And then a sense of self, like who they are, who they're becoming. Like they're for the first time realizing that, like, I have power. Like, I don't have to do what you just told me to do. I can just say no. I might do it cautiously and see how you respond, but like, it's my choice. And they're making decisions about what they wear and who they hang out with. And that's all very, very developmentally appropriate for them in this time. But it's also hard because, you know what? They will try things and then it doesn't work. I'm going to try to join this group and they're not going to like me. I'm going to try out for this team and I'm not going to be very good. And that's going to be hard. And it's hard because as adults and parents, like, we want to protect them from that hard. But that hard is developmental. Like, that is forming their character. It's helping them so that when they get over to the high school and they become normal human beings again, they have these groups, they found a place to fit. And it's probably not where they started. For a lot of them, my own two, I'm a parent now of two successful middle school students. They made it to the other side. They're now at the high school. And I did not anticipate the struggles that they were going to have. Like, these were my kids. I know my kids. I'm a really good parent. Just ask me. But they did surprise me in ways that I was not anticipating. I tell parents that all the time. Like, your kids in middle school are going to surprise you. They're going to do things that disappoint you. They're going to do things that challenge you. And they're not going to be the things that you think they're going to do. So they are just this whole package of amazingness. And I truly mean that. Like, my heart is in middle school. I love these kids. I love everything about them, really, even the hard stuff. And I'll tell you that sometimes my job is hard. Like, sometimes it's really hard. It's not usually because of them. Like, they are who they are. Middle school kids are middle school kids. They've got problems now that we didn't have when I was in school. They have problems now that they didn't have 5 years ago. I mean, they're dealing with stuff that didn't exist only a few years ago, but middle school kids are still middle school kids, and they're why I'm here, and they're why we all are here. So that's my spiel. When we went through this process of teaming, these were the things. This is the original list of stuff that we came back with as a group of educators that said, this is when we're going back to teaming, these are the things that really matter to us based on all of our interviews and all of our reading. The people piece is like having people in the right positions so that we can support student behavior. Time to meet every day is essential. I'll talk about team meetings and what they do during that time and why that's super important. But if they don't have time to meet, organic, real time to meet, where they're not having to be stressed about a ton of other things going on at the same time, a lot of the value of teaming is lost. Like, they have to have that. Physical proximity of teams, so we completely restructured our building so that we had teams in hallways. Equity among teams is really important to us. We go through an entire process before we place kids on teams, and we include things like spreading out students with IEP or 504 accommodations so that there's equity there, and staff a special ed teacher on each team, which is really important. High ability is also spread from team to team. We also have the teachers from the year before do some kind of academic need and behavioral need rating scales so that we have those students that are maybe behaviorally challenging spread apart, academically challenging spread apart, but also the kids that are leaders, like who's on student council, who's on your leadership team, so that we have those kids spread apart. That equity is also really important. One of the things that really became into play when we lost teaming is the communication aspect and the collaboration aspect. So those were two big rocks. And how do we have these systems in place so that communication between teams, on teams, to the office, to the guidance office, to special ed, like the communication piece was, and we put a lot of work into devising ways for teachers and teams to communicate. And then the collaboration piece as well. So these were our big rocks, and they're all still there. And we started teaming, and still. One of the pieces that changed during this transition time is the leadership and looping structure. It's what we felt was the most important to support kids. You've got me in this position, and there's an AP and counselor, an assistant principal and a counselor in each grade level. So you may have met Jenny Pieper, and then Cole Zook is filling in for Ben Carroll left mid-year to take a position in a different district. So he's kind of filling in until the end of the year. But we have an assistant principal and a counselor at each grade level, and they support 3 different teams. They loop with the kids. In addition to our special ed teachers also loop with the kids, so that these kids, we only have them 2 years. That's a quick time, guys. As soon as I know their names, they're gone. And so they loop with them so that we can really, welcome to middle school, that we can really support their development as they go. We know the kids. We know who's got mental health concerns. We know who's struggling behaviorally. We know who's got stuff going on at home. And we can provide that level of support consistently from one grade to the next. And I think that has been a huge, huge positive piece with our structure. Our assistant principal and our counselor attend a team meeting every week. So they go into one team meeting for each of the teams every single week, and they talk to the teams about students of concern. It can be mental health, it can be behavioral, it can be like home staff, I mean just any sort of grades. They bring up grade concerns, and they meet. They also are able to bring weekly concerns to administration. So like when we meet on Fridays, one of our weekly agenda items is what team concerns are there. So teams are able to communicate directly with an administrator, stuff that they might hold on to and not talk about. It wouldn't be worth an email. I'm not going to set up an appointment, but I've got someone here once a week listening, like, what's going on? What concerns do you guys have? So that's kind of our admin structure that has been very beneficial for our building. This is our building schedule. This is 7th grade building schedule. A lot of stuff on here, but to point out, there we go. Right here in a 7th grade team, this isn't enough, the team that's right out there, they have a team meeting time built into their day, and then they also have their personal prep. So this would be the time that they're doing stuff for their own classrooms. They meet every single day, bell to bell. They submit minutes from their meetings. One, so that there's a level of accountability, because we all need accountability, but also they go back and they're able to review notes from months past, years past, for the things that they're doing, so that they have everything right there. These team meetings are essential to their success. They talk about kids, they talk about events, they talk about planning ways to make kids connect to them. Because if they're not connecting somewhere, then there's no connection.
Hi.
Hi, you're just coming on in?
Question for you.
Can you wait?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll begin, okay. I'll be available here in probably about an hour.
Okay.
So they talk about idea planning, ways to bring their team together. Team culture is a huge piece of this. They also meet with kids. So if there's a kid that's struggling in multiple classrooms, they'll pull them out of an elective class and have them come and have a powwow with the entire team about what's going on. So those team meetings are very, very important. You'll see also that we have an elective, a set of electives down here at the bottom. I'll kind of go through course offerings here next. Before I keep going, and we're going to get into kind of some fun, like pictures and what our building's really all about. Does anybody have questions so far about the structure of teaming, or why or how we do it?
How often do you reevaluate who's on what team, and do you make changes annually, or is it once you feel like you got a good team, you just roll with it until somebody retires, leaves, gets promoted, decides they want to do something different?
It's a good question. I do think that there is a lot of value in what they're creating among the adults on their team. They become families that depend on each other more than they depend on anybody else in the building. So to disrupt it just to disrupt it is not something I would do. Retirements or staff changes, leaving, would be something that would be a reason that I would consider making changes. At this point, there's not been a need to. So we would evaluate it every year over the summer, before, as we get kind of to the end of the year, looking for change, but it's not something that I would do often if I can avoid it. Those adult relationships are really important. I say all the time that going to work who you work with really matters in your, the joy and the happiness that you have in your job. And so they create that in a way that organically that I can't do. There's too many of them. I can do breakfast once a month. We can do things, but it's not, and then when we do, and those things are important, but what they do on the daily is more important than that. And they learn each other's quirks and learn how to deal with each other professionally. I mean, we intervene sometimes, there's conflict, I mean, they're human beings, but that is a really important piece of all of this too, is how the adults interact with one another. And it's interesting, they all have their own culture. Like you go from team to team meeting to team meeting, hallway to hallway, and they all have a very, very different personality and different culture, which is kind of fun. It also helps as we're placing kids. If you've got kids that have specific needs coming in, you look at the personality of the team, and you can kind of decide like where would be a good place for this kiddo. So this is our 7th grade coursework. They all take math, reading, writing, science, social studies, and a class called Exploring College and Careers, which is kind of just a general class about school and learning and the future. They do some like personality inventories. What am I good at? Interest inventories. What might I like to do? Getting them to think about life after school. And then they have electives. All students have 2 electives each semester. So some of these are year-long courses, semester courses. So those are in 7th grade, not a ton of options: art, band, choir, PE, intro to world languages, and STEM. So that's their 7th grade options. And then you get to 8th grade and they open up. It's a transition into high school. Same core classes, except now it's preparing for college and careers, and this is a high school credit class. We also have algebra, geometry are both high school credit classes that kids who are in the high ability track get credit for as well. And we have art still, band, choir. Starting next year, all of our 8th graders are going to take Health for high school credit. That's new. We've had it as an option, but now all of them are going to take it. PE and advanced PE will be a new class for next year. There's a new computer class we're offering next year, business and technology, and then also intro to computer science. That will be a high school credit. Spanish, French, and Japanese are all high school credit classes. So those are the courses that kids at the middle school currently have access to. These are our 6 teams. They are named after the word bear in different languages, some of it kind of loosely, but and because we're all one building, we're all the Cubs, we're all Franklin, but we have these very unique and interesting names, and they all have a color associated with them. In 7th grade, we have Nanook, the orange team, Makwa, the red team, and Karhu, the green team. When we do a quick little tour after, you'll get to see the hallways. They've got paint at the end of each hallway identifying their team color. We do team dress-up days. Today's college dress-up day. Next Thursday is going to be another team color dress-up day. We have a convocation at the end of the day, and so it's fun to be in the gym and everybody like just all dressed out in their team color. So they have a lot of fun with that. They have a lot more fun with it in 7th grade than they do in 8th grade when it's no longer cool, but we still do it. In 8th grade we have Snow City, they're silver, Urso is gold or yellow, and Lakeese is purple. We tried to keep blue away because that seemed a little unfair. So those are our 6 teams and our 6 colors. Being responsive to adolescent learners, how can we respond? Through teaming, we have stuck by these core values of connection, character, and growth. So what does that look like at a middle school? These are just some kind of the fun things that we do. We have Students of the Month, and 2 students are selected each month from each team. They come down and they get recognized. They get what we call cup bucks, which I'll talk about here in a minute, and they get a certificate and take their picture. What we do though each month is a little bit different so that we're not always recognizing those kids who are just great at everything all the time. We've got things like kindness and compassion, creativity and innovation was a fun one. These kids come down like, oh yeah, these are our artists. These are our kids that are, excelling in robotics. Those who show leadership, so they may not all be straight A students who are always great, always well behaved, never got a mark in their log, but we get to recognize these different traits, and that's kind of a cool thing that we do. We have spirit days throughout the year, dress-up days, color days, neon days, cowboy day, college days. We do different spirit days, and teams get points for this. In addition to some other team competitions that we do throughout the year. And we have down by our fish tank boards that run a tally of how many points they have. So you've probably seen them when you've come in for school board meetings. They're in that main hallway. So they're in a constant state of earning points against, and that healthy competition is also really good for middle school. We've gotten to a point where we haven't done very many. I've got kids ask me, like, are we going to do anything? Are we going to have any competitions coming up? So they do get involved with that competitions side of things. Every quarter, we have an end of quarter celebration where we do some silly things, but the purpose really is to get the whole student body together. I think it's really important when they're kind of, sequestered in their little teams, for them to all get together and see each other. We recognize that quarter academic achievements. We recognize all athletic teams, have them stand. We talk about clubs and what they've done in that quarter, and then we try to do something fun. The kids don't know this yet, but this quarter celebration on Thursday is involving an inflatable race, and teachers from each team are going to be wearing inflatables and doing some challenges, and so that'll be fun, and they get team points from it, and it's just a nice way usually to end kind of before we go into a break, and just to celebrate who we are and have fun, because fun matters in middle school too. We have Cub Bucks. They're little stamps that students can earn for doing the right thing. They get Cub Bucks for honor roll. They get Cub Bucks for student of the month. They get Cub Bucks for being athlete of the week. They get Cub Bucks from their teams for just doing the right thing. If a kid does something nice or responsible, whatever, teams can give them as well. And then every month we have a store or a pop-up store where they can get things like Chick-fil-A, Chicago's Pizza. We've had Kona Ice they're coming out today actually. And then we also do a raffle where kids with any Cub Bucks that they have left, they can enter. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to use the word raffle. They get to put their tickets in that they've earned, and then we pull them out, and they have prizes that they can put in. Like all these buckets were different things.
Exactly.
We're all right.
Okay.
He is an attorney, by the way.
So I'm not sure if that word is allowed. It's just a drawing. It's just a drawing of student names. Their name is on a ticket. But these are things that they help me pick out. We do big things like AirPods and drones and just different things like that. It's where our walkathon at the beginning of that fundraiser, that money goes toward this. And the raffle is always a huge hit. They like a chance at something big. They really do. So those are our Cub Bucks. We have our student news. I have some copies. This is one of the things that I'm the most proud of, and I'm not proud of myself because I have nothing to do with this. But what I do is I try to say yes. Like that, as a teacher, or as a leader of this building, my motto is to try to say yes if I can support somebody with an idea. She came from a background in journalism. This is Katie Hollis. And she is passionate about student journalism, and she has done an award-winning job at creating both a Cub News network that presents announcements every day and also the Paw Post. So I've got a couple of copies. There's a few different editions that you can take a look at. Really, it's amazing. She's won, let's see here. She told me she has won multiple awards, 16 different awards, I think, since she started here in both the student journalism and the Cub News network. And what she does, I will tell you, is empower kids. This is 100% the kids. It's their ideas from start to finish. They come and they do the interviews and they give you the little mics and they ask you these questions and they're a little awkward and uncomfortable, but they do a phenomenal job. So one of the things that I think that I am the most proud of me as a leader is I feel like I'm a really good hirer when I have an opportunity to have a group of people that are actually interested in a position and I'm able to conduct interviews and select. I feel like I've got a good read of people, and I have really created a rock star staff here. Our teachers are the best of the best. She's one of them, and the opportunities that she gives kids are just the things they're going to remember for the rest of their lives. Out of middle school, those opportunities happen at high school. Like my niece is getting ready to graduate at Greenwood, and she's taking trips for journalism. Like she's doing all these amazing things. Like those things don't happen as much at middle school, and she's providing these high school level opportunities at middle school. I'm going to see what happens here since I'm on a split screen. I do have.
Good morning, FCMS. My name is Nolan Thornworth, and welcome back to Cub News Network.
My name is McKenna Pops, and today is Friday, March 14th. Today is National Write Down Your Story Day. Plug in, show you care, and value growth.
March is all about emergency preparedness, disability awareness, basketball, and here at FCMS, the Spring Musical.
In today's show, we will take a look at what to do in the case of a tornado emergency, see an inside look at why including others is important, find out the library March Madness first round winners, take an inside look at this year's musical, and of course, like every Friday, listen to this week's FCMS Good News.
We'll be right back.
Now, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is a reminder to please take a moment and make sure your lanyard is on.
We know spring break is just around the corner, but it is a school rule to be wearing your lanyard at all times.
Happy birthday to 7th grader Kayla Sekaraz and 8th grader Jordan McClellan.
One quick announcement about Godzilla Club. The meeting for after school today has been canceled. If you were planning to attend, please go home on your normal buses.
This week is National Emergency Preparedness Week. Here at FCMS, it means we're using it to prepare for any possible tornado weather this spring.
Let's go to CNN reporters Torrin Epperson and Eli Lawrence as they walk us through what to do in the case of a tornado and the importance of being prepared.
How to stay safe during a tornado drill. During a tornado drill, you should hear something like this happen over the loudspeaker.
Attention students, the National Weather Service has upgraded its tornado watch to a tornado warning. This means we need to evacuate into our tornado shelters. Thank you.
After your teacher gets ready, listen to everything they say. They know what they're doing and have done this many times before. If you're not sure where to go during a tornado drill, your teacher already does know this, and if you want to know ahead of time, there's always a piece of paper in the classroom that says what to do during a tornado drill and gives directions. Staying calm and listening to everything your teacher says is key to making sure you get to where you need to be to stay safe. Once you're entering the shelter area, make sure you know exactly where you need to be and that you're covered and away from all windows and possible security threats. Keep your neck covered and stay low to stay as safe as possible. Now, let's talk to Ms. Pieper about the importance of tornado drills.
Alright, so Ms. Pieper, why are tornado drills important here for FCMS?
So, tornado drills are important mainly because, especially during this time, during March, you start to see the weather start to change with the cold and the hot kind coming together. And so that can be a scary time where our weather changes and you need to know what to do in the case of an emergency. We call it the emergency shelter, you know. So it's important to learn like where you need to go in school, and like that's why we do it during different periods too. But that way you just know exactly where to go and what the plan is here at school.
So during a tornado drill, why is it important to follow the directions that are given?
So when directions are given, I mean, you don't want to be going a different way or thinking it's funny or anything. Like, the important part is that we need to keep you safe. And so you need to make sure you're following all the directions that the staff is giving you, or, you know, well, any staff member that's giving you directions, you need to be doing what's asked. Our main focus is to keep you safe.
So is it important to stay quiet?
Definitely, it's important to stay quiet, and that's because we could be talking over the PA, and you might need to know something like there might be a change in the weather, or there might be a change in your location. So it's key to stay quiet so you can hear all the instructions that are being said. And if there is something that is coming, like, you need to know right away. So, yeah, that's definitely one of the key things.
All right, thank you for your time.
All right, thank you.
There will be a tornado drill during third period today. Please make sure you listen to all your teachers, follow all directions, and most importantly, stay quiet.
The votes have been counted for the first round of March Madness winners in the library. The winning books are Ground Zero, Touch Blue, Crying Laughing, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, The Last Straw, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, Hatchet, The Blind Side, and Home Run.
Yes, I wanted Diary of a Wimpy Kid to win.
Dang it, my favorite book didn't win.
March is also National Disability Awareness Month.
Let's go to CNN reporter Brent Beach as he takes an inside look at inclusion with the FCMS Best Buddies Club.
Inclusion is important because it provides everyone with an opportunity to belong and to participate.
Inclusion helps us feel comfortable, safe.
Inclusion allows us to have a better school community because it makes everyone feel safe and welcome, as well as everyone can have opportunities to do whatever they want.
Hi, I think that inclusion is important because everyone has their own battles and no one should have to face their battles alone.
I think inclusion in our community and schools is important because it makes them feel enough and welcome.
Did you read the article about Best Buddies in yesterday's issue of the Paw Post?
Yes, it's amazing they finished their requirements to be a unified champion school.
Absolutely. If you haven't read it yet, pick up a copy of the Paw Post or check for the online version in your email.
Today, March 14th, is National Write Your Own Story Day, but it's also Pie Day, the math kind.
Oh man, I wish it was the tasty kind.
I do like that type of pie better, but that's not what the National Day celebrates.
Let's go to CNN reporters Wyatt Roller and Colton Yancey as they talk about some of our FCMS math teachers about Pie Day.
Good morning, FCMS. We interviewed our favorite math teachers to see their thoughts on Pie Day, which is today. Now, let's go to them.
Pie is the greatest thing in the world. Pie Day is the greatest thing in the world. It is the day my wife and I started dating. It is the day that life begins.
It's Mr. Thomas here, and I just wanted to talk to you all about the greatest number in the world, pi, P-I, not P-I-E, not the food, but the number pi, 3.1415926535889779323384246. That one has to do with circles. If you're in 7th grade, you probably learned about it. If you're in 8th grade, you should have learned about it last year. And it's great, helps us with circles, and also PIE, it's a delicious food. So, happy Pie Day, 3.14.
Today is super exciting in the math world. I'm excited to eat some pie, compete against Carhu and Makwa, and win. And Pie Day is just all about math. It's my favorite math day ever. We get to eat some snacks, we get to celebrate.
I hope everyone is able to enjoy some pie today.
The math or food kind?
I guess both.
Apple, berry, rhubarb.
Okay, now to Brent with the weather report.
Good morning, FCMS. I'm Brent here with your weather report. Today we have a surprisingly warm high at 75 degrees. That's going to feel so good outside. Make sure to get outside and do some activities instead of staying cooped up all day. Even our low today is going to feel great at a nice and lovely 52 degrees. That's just cool enough to balance out the heat like it was planned to be a perfect balance. With no surprise, there's no chance at all for rain today. Now then, the UV index is very high at 5 out of 11. The wind is 6 to 22 miles per hour southeast, with gusts of wind being up to 43 miles per hour. Those gusts of wind will be strong enough to lift loose items in the yard. Be sure to stay safe. And this was Brent with your weather report. Now we'll be right back with sports after this.
Good morning, FCMS. My name is Emberly Martin, and I'm here with your sports update. On Wednesday night, both the boys and girls swim and dive teams won the Johnston County Championship. The boys won by over 86 points, while the girls barely took home the win by only 2 points. The girls' team finished undefeated in their season, and for the boys, this was the first time they've won county in 10 years. 5 school records were set Wednesday night. Braden McCallops, Oliver Anabnett, Trevor Smith, and Deuce Calloway broke their own 200 free and 400 free record. Smith also broke the 100 backstroke record. Harper Stone broke the 100 breaststroke record. And Stone, Emma Barnett, Charlie Allier, and Zoe Bratcher broke the 200 freestyle record. Great job, FCMS Swim and Dive. Now, back to you.
Thanks, Emberly.
Next weekend, the FCMS spring musical, The Little Mermaid, will be premiering.
Let's go to this preview with CNN reporters Anna Anorga and Lissy Cappy.
My name is Mrs. Harrigan.
I'm Miss Bennett. I love musical because it gives me the chance to work with more than just choir kids. Right now we have people painting and making props, running sound, lights, projections like the one behind me, like tons of super talented kids not in choir at all who are participating in the musical, meeting new people. That's probably the best part of it.
My favorite part is, I love getting to see some of the main solos, like Part of Your World and Poor Unfortunate Souls. Yeah.
This has just been getting everything together, making sure that our projections line up with the music, adding some really cool special effects that you'll have to wait to see until the musical starts, and then just making sure everything is ready by the end of March.
A little bit of everything. We work on choreography, we work on singing, walking the scenes. We have a lot of props and set pieces that we've been putting together. I love all of it. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of different pieces, and we've been working on it for months.
I know I can't wait for the show. You?
I know they've poured their hearts and souls into that, so I'm going to at least one. I'm so pumped.
Finally, before we go, let's take a look at Emlyn Sint's weekly segment, Good News.
News is that I hanged out with my friend today.
My good news is I went to an amazing school.
My good news is that I have a choir concert on Saturday.
Girls swim team went undefeated this year.
Our good news is we're getting at the hurdles today.
Me and AJ's good news is that we're getting spikes. My good news.
Me and Jacob's good news is that we're jumping over 6 feet in high jump.
I'm going to Monster Jam on Saturday.
I'm gonna get the Alan the Alien skin in Fortnite.
I have a softball tournament this weekend.
I'm alive.
The girls won with an undefeated season.
I got an 1120 on my rating IXL diagnostic.
What's your good news, McKenna?
I aced my reading test. You?
I got gold in my jazz band competition.
I have another piece of good news.
Yeah, what is it?
It's Fun Fact Friday.
Oh yeah, so what's the fun fact today?
Did you know that no number before 1,000 has the letter A in it?
What? No, wait. 1, 10, 1. Wait, you might actually be onto something.
I told you.
And with that, thanks for watching. Live today above the line, FCMS.
Kids do all of this. It's not always 15 minutes long. This episode is one that they are submitting for a contest, so they really went all out for that one. But this is something that I'm hugely proud of for our building. Anyone who asks me though, I don't care what the experiences are, I just love when our kids have them and we have adults that are passionate about those experiences because then they make them valuable for kids. So wanted to show you guys a little clip of that.
Rita, is that daily or once a week?
Daily, they don't always have those special features though. So every day they do the pledge, every day they do weather, sports, they have like Fun Fact Friday and Terrible Joke Tuesday and things like that they do every day. So they're usually just a few minutes long and we have that built into our schedule so that they do that in the morning. Thank you. But they're amazing. She's amazing. And it's really great experiences for our kids. We also do an annual winter tree decorating contest that our kids really get into. They pick a theme, and then the kids they create things. All of these trees have things that kids have created, which is something that you do in elementary school. Like I have all my kids' elementary things, but I also have a couple from middle school. My daughter made when we did these trees. We have Harry Potter theme for our Harry Potter obsessed team. We've tied this one into Night at the Museum because they had taken a field trip to the local Johnson County Museum and watched it at Art Craft, so they tied that in. We've got Whoville. We have a giving tree. This team worked with the local, yes, and to be able to provide gifts, and our kids brought in donations, and then our kids actually went, some of them from that team actually went and helped wrap the gifts and sort and organize. So that's kind of a cool opportunity. So they take it and run with it, and that's always a huge. And these were dilapidated trees that were found in a storage unit or in a storage closet that I'm like, you don't get to buy new trees. Like these are, and they're ugly. When they pull them out and they turn it, they look like but they make them look amazing. So we do that every year. 8th grade takes a trip to Saraland every year. This has been going on since the existence of time, I think. And they have a great day. They have so much freedom. They fish, they play, they act like kids, which is really fun to see. You know, with not having recess here, which is okay. That you get to kind of see them act in a way that you don't always get to see them act. We grill out for them, and it's always a really great day. That always happens at the very end of 8th grade, so an annual tradition. We do a welcome to reality store. Our counselors kind of have taken this on. They get members of the community, including Dr. Clendenning. I know Dr. Warling came out last year. And these kids have an opportunity in 8th grade to kind of figure out what life might look like for them if they continue on their current path. So based on their GPA, they're given a salary, and they have to do things like get insurance and purchase cars and figure out housing and buy clothing, and they find out really quickly how fast money goes and how, you know, making $500 a week sounds like a lot of money to them, and they're like, well, it's not going to go very far. So it's just a good day for them, and our counselors do a phenomenal job organizing this and getting volunteers in. And it's very smooth and very well run. So that's coming up in May as well. We also do an annual trip to Washington, D.C. This is it's an expensive trip, so we don't take the entire grade level, but we usually take, last year I think we had 140 kids that went. This year we have to go at a different time, and we're flying. There's a lot of stress going into this year's trip, but it's like 96 kids that get to go because we're flying. But this is a fun time, an opportunity obviously for these kids that are able to go. It's lasting memories. I think 8th grade DC trips have also been going on since the beginning of time.
Is that trip fun? That's completely paid for by parents? There's no sort of matching or funding that goes into it?
We have opportunities for fundraisers, and kids who do the fundraising actually have the opportunity to raise quite a bit of money. But the school does not provide any financial support for it. Band and choir is growing. It kind of took a dip around COVID, both band and choir, and it's growing and excelling. We just went to ISMA last weekend, and all of our groups got gold ratings, which is great. We started a show choir this year for the first time in a while. Not since I've been here, but there's been a hiatus. So that's another opportunity for a certain niche of kids to connect, to plug in, to find something to do, to try. We also had some percussionists who taught me how to play the drums, to drum the drums, to do something with the drums. And I performed at the show last year. It was really great. That was fun. So that'll be a memory for me as an administrator forever. So great band and choir teachers and great opportunities for kids there. Our musicals have continued to grow. I invite you to come out this weekend. It is going to be the best one we've had so far, I have no doubt. Thanks to Central Office and Admin and the grant that we were able to get the auditorium. Redan's going to make all the difference, lights and sound. The directors are over the top right now. It's just going to be really, really good. So come a long way, and they're just going to keep getting better. We have a lot of clubs and they change from year to year. It's what is interesting to kids and what the adults are willing to sponsor. So right now we've got drama club, we have a landscaping club that Dan Bada runs, student council who works hard to provide opportunities for kids and recognition for adults. So those are fun. We have an art club this year that has been hugely popular once a week. Kids come out and do art. We have Interact Club, which is a service learning Rotary club. A huge group this year doing that as well. Kids want to be involved. They want to do stuff. They really do. We have our Bring Change to Mind club that is amazing. They're doing great things too. This is the first year for that. We have a Godzilla club this year. They're in the corner. I don't know. Kids wanted it, and the teacher was like, okay. So they watch Godzilla movies after school. It's a niche. I mean, they're not a big club, not a lot of them, but response to some kids. So those change every year. We've had game club, just different things. So it's kind of what kids want. Got our bikes. Got our adapted bike that FEC sponsored. Office department helps sometimes when we're able to get outside and go around kind of the neighborhoods. But this is part of PE, but it's also part of an enrichment opportunity for kids. So we get a lot of use out of those bikes, and that's a really cool experience for kids that most middle schoolers don't have. And a lot of kids don't know how to ride bikes. I don't know if you know that, but that's not as normal as it used to be. A lot of kids that don't know how to ride bikes. Are having our second annual art show next Monday as well. Our art teachers, Beth and Brooke, are amazing. I hired them. They're really good. They do it. This is just phenomenal. Like, it is so cool. Every kid who's taken art in 7th or 8th grade has a piece in the art show. And then they get awards, like the high school art teachers come over and they pick and they get money, and then I buy their art print and we're putting them up in the building. And so it's really a cool opportunity for kids to explore something that maybe they didn't realize they were good at. So that'll be Monday. Animals, we have animals that show up from time to time, which kids love. We have an ag day when the high school FFA ag group brings animals over and kids get an opportunity to kind of see what lies ahead for them at high school, so that's always fun. And of course, athletics, that's always been a part. We've been doing Athlete of the Week over the last couple of years, which is a really cool way to recognize some of our student athletes for good character, good leadership, accomplishments. And we have pretty much everything that the high school has at a smaller level here. There are a couple of things that they have that we don't. We don't have men's volleyball, we don't have lacrosse. Don't have baseball, softball, but so we have a lot of athletic opportunities. I encourage kids to try something new. Like my son, he's not the most athletic. He loves baseball, he's good at baseball, but he tried cross country. He's not a runner, but he did it. He did it all through. Gosh, he was the last one, but man, he did it. Tried tennis for a year. He's not good at that either. But he tried it. My daughter tried soccer. She was not good at that. But she tried it. I mean, they needed somebody. They're like, we don't have a team. And she's like, okay, I'll do it. She's terrible. She wanted to quit after like a week. I'm like, no, you're in. You're going to finish this season. And she did. She hated it. But those things build character, right? They do. She's thriving in cheer now and dance, and he does great at baseball. So I encourage kids to try things. It's okay to try and fail. It's okay to try and do something that you don't necessarily love. We try to encourage kids to come out. We have high expectations for their behavior, and that's important to me that we represent our school well. They're kids. I mean, they're in a middle school game. They're not going to be perfect, but we want them to come out and they get in free with their lanyards, so they're able to come and see whatever. So is it working? Anecdotally, I will tell you that it is. I will tell you that this is the best place this building has been since I've been here. It's good. Now, I'll tell you also that before spring break is a really hard time. So if you were to ask anyone, how are you feeling right now? Everybody's going to feel overwhelmed. But that's part of it. We are in a really good place. We've got discipline systems that are sound. They are consistent. We've got communication structures that are, I just really feel like we are in a really, really good place. I asked our team leaders, I meet with them monthly, kind of to hear from them too, to tell me what makes us great. Like, my question was just an opportunity to share what makes us great. And I'll tell you that it's all teaming. So just so you know, everything they talked about was teaming. These are the things that they say, so this is just from their perspective. Teaming allows for, and I'm going to not read it all, problem solving, student behaviors, meeting time with individual students, improvement of communication, relationships. It allows for administration to be more involved. Teachers are able to directly communicate with admin once a week. Teaming helps students improve behaviorally. We discuss students and how we can help them improve. We use this time to meet with parents. We've had many students over the last 3 years of teaming that have shown growth academically and behaviorally due to consistent team efforts. It provides consistent communication. There are students that we'd like to help grow socially and in their confidence. That's something that isn't always thought about. These kids, and they listed some, have really blossomed on our team this year. It's amazing to have our full-time special education teacher on our team. Her students have grown exponentially. The weekly admin meetings are extremely valuable. We see counselors and admin more now than ever before. Teaming helps with community building and connection. It's what's best for both teachers and students. It allows us to see who's struggling in each area and come together to help them. No student falls through the cracks as they did previously. Elective teachers are not part of teams, so you'd think that they probably feel pretty, but they don't. They have their own team, and they really appreciate how the behavior notes and concerns that teams send them weekly. We note and appreciate that we can reach out to team leaders to see about the best way to communicate. Team teachers often work to help us bridge relationships with their students by giving us information or having conversations on our behalf. Teaming is a safety net to catch our students when they're struggling with mental health, academics, or social skills. We feel as though behaviors are better controlled and monitored and that expectations are laid out well. There's a sense of pride in competitions. Being on a team has established a sense of community among our students. Each student has been able to bond with at least one teacher on our team, which has allowed us to connect to the school. Snow Seeding, one of our 8th grade teams, they have connected with Northwood. They have gone over and partnered with a first grade class over at Northwood and have been over there a couple of times. They've read to them. They've created parade floats. Those students are coming over to us on Thursday, and they're going to do a science. There's a guy coming, and they're doing a big science thing with first graders and 8th graders, and it's one of the most beautiful things that you will see. So teaming provides a lot of that. So I wanted you guys to know this is who we are, and this is what we're about here at the middle school. I'm passionate. Our teachers are great. We are some of the best there is. I also wanted to share just some data based on student surveys. These are questions that we've asked. Now, to be fair, it's just since we started teaming, so I don't have this data back before teaming. And they scale these questions, and so this is a percent of change. It's not a percent of students who feel this way, it's a percent of change. So they went from scoring at a 4 to now scoring at a 6, or from scoring at a 6.5 to now a 7.5 average. So I like coming to school each day, has increased percent of change of 25%. This one's huge for me. I feel safe at school, 20% change. My teachers care about me. I have fun at school. And these are questions you're asking middle schoolers. So I mean, you have to take all of that with a grain of salt too. My teachers treat students kindly and fairly, and behavior as well. They have suggested that there is a positive increase in how students are behaving. This is also percent of change. This is looking at growth, not scores or number of kids passing. But when we look at our percent of change, our percent of growth, compared to the state, we are by far exceeding where the state has been from before, or from right after COVID until now. So like 2021 until this most recent year. So we're showing a lot of academic growth as well, even though our percentage of passing is not where we want it to be, we are still making strides and growing. And then this is another one, we need to go back and get Doug Kirby to dig into things that have now been closed off to us, but just looking from one year to the next, where we've made some intentional changes. We went from 2,600 office referrals, this year, right now, we're at 926. So we've still got a couple of months. It'll obviously go up from there, but tracking to be at like 1,100, where we ended at 2,600. So yes, it's working. What we do here matters to a very vulnerable group of kids who have a lot of needs, and this is the reason why we have a really great group of teachers. here at the middle school. So this is us. What questions do you have for me? I said it all.
What specifically, from your perspective, can the board help you with?
Supporting what we do here. It's not cheap. Teaming is more expensive than not teaming. That's would be my number one.
One of the things that we did in the last strategic planning was look at teaming. And we looked at the concepts of teaming and the pros and cons, and we've actually embedded in our strategic plan. And we even talked about, listen, this is not a cheap endeavor. Because like you can imagine, if we grow, you're going to have to add a whole group of teachers to get a team, or the team's going to continue to be really big. So there were some conversations around that. So it is actually embedded in the strategic plan for us to do this. So I like the concepts also. They're a 4-person team. Five
Yeah.
for the most part. Back at CBIS it goes 2, 3, and then here they have 5 to kind of connect them. So that's the connection between the two schools.
Yeah. Elementary to Hester Baker to us to the high school. All right, you guys want to go for a tour? Reach out with our library, books, media. She's got games out usually. So there are sometimes that, like our Essential Skills uses this from time to time to bring kids in to play games. Or if they're here checking out books, they've got things to kind of occupy them while they're waiting. So she does a great job. Thematically too, they've got the tournament bracket with book choices out here. So this is the academic side of the building. All of our teams are here and they mirror one another. So everything's, so they know they get, we have permission to stop in their classrooms in this team. So I invite Davis, if you want to pop in there and say hi. This is Miss Foreman's class. Hi. We got Beck in, I think, so. It's good. They got the kids beckoned in for this classroom.
Miss Foreman was the teacher of the year last year. Top 22. Yes.
Wow, I need to
It's been a while since I did tell us, Craig.
What's your name?
Day. So if they got enough stamps in their like stamp collector, then they got to choose if they wanted to order hubbub snow cones today. I think it's cone ice, right, Rita? Yeah, it's cone ice. So they got a special treat.
Okay. This is our resource special education teacher here. So she's got a classroom embedded right in the team. Caseload's right now around 25 kids on a team that she meets with and services. So it's nice to have that on every team too. We've not always had that. This is the first year where we've had one on every team, and it's been very beneficial. So that's social studies. This is our writing class. So they have a semester of writing and a semester of ECC or PCC. So and then those teachers go up and down from 7th grade to 8th grade. So that's writing in 7th grade right now. I love these. I love that kids, the sense of pride of the things that they've been a part of, and they oftentimes will stay up all year. That's soccer. It's our reading teacher on the team, math, and then science. So this is a team. Their lockers are here, their teachers are here, there's a restroom right there, water fountains right there. Because right now we only have 3 teams per grade level, that other wing has elective classes. The other hallway has 2 teams on it. So 2 teams share a restroom that's in the middle of those 2 hallways. They recognize students of the month on this team a little differently. They have nominees every month. So, and the nominees all get celebrated at lunch. They come in and announce at lunch, and they all celebrate and cheer for each other. And then they announce their winner each month. So they kind of turn that into a big deal. Each team kind of has something different. Not all teams do that. But upstairs in URSO, they have this board of recognition of their kids, which this is new this year, which is really cool. It's recognizing kids and the things that they're doing in our building, but also accomplishments outside of school. Honor roll, things like that. Just so that's kind of cool to see names up on the wall of kids doing great things. At the end of each hallway is a bulletin board that belongs to the team. We start the year, they have something, they usually change it in the middle of the year, kind of toward the end of first semester. And now they're kind of starting to peel. They don't look super fresh right now, but they do kind of own that board and make it part of who they are. We've got our courtyard. We have our school dances out there whenever possible. We do a harvest dance in the fall, and the last couple of years we've done a spring dance at the end of the year too. We have a tent that goes up. Teachers will sometimes eat out there. Sometimes you'll see classrooms out there doing activities or just reading or things like that. It's nice to have that. Mach board. So this is the red Mach hallway. It's still Christmas here in It's fine. Well, they have other things to do besides fine. This is our green hallway car who will go up these stairs to the 8th grade.
This is the purple hallway, Team Lakeese.
I like the lights.
So Urso team has, this is their team meeting time. So their kids are all at 11, so it's quiet in that hallway this period. And this is their pretty tree.
What's up, Andy? She was superintendent for the day. Yeah,
She was so fun.
She's a riot.
This made me laugh. It cracks. Hallway, and I think up through front office, like all the main areas are going to be replaced.
This will do look, right?
So one of the things we're doing, one of the $19 million bond, we're replacing the carpets here in a web. And you can see the pool head where there. This actually right here was replaced about 10 years ago. And you can see that it's already starting to fill up again. And we're going to go with those squares so that if Rita has to make changes, she can pull them up and put them back down.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward.
Yeah.
So this is we have art classrooms on one side, and we have our behavior support on this side of the room. So I didn't talk much about our alt ed programming and how we support some of our kids with behavioral challenges and needs, but we have a whole continuum here of ways to support and staff members that are aligned to work with those students. So that's up here in this neck of the woods. And you can peek in. Our art teachers are amazing. I think they're getting to the end of class right now, but they're preparing the final stuff for their art show on Monday. I think they're painting their big shoes out of paper mache. I think that's what they're designing. You can take a peek. I'm sure you guys are very familiar with the gym, but it's a nice view up here. We don't use the B wing. We've got our coaches and stuff have offices down there, but we don't have any students down there.
Yeah, it's a little scary down there.
And this is the medallion area. These are the boards I was talking about with team points, and we update those. And you guys are very familiar with the auditorium. Here our band practicing down there. So we've got our pool and our ox gym and our band and choir rooms. We can head down that way or we can be done. You can see up on the start of the art show. If you take a peek down there, it's really cool. So each kid has at least one. They'll have a bunch of panels up. The table turns into, they do ceramic food. They turn that into like a little dining table. So it's really neat. I want to say, I think it's 6. I think it starts at 6.
And what time does the
musical start? 7 tonight, 2 and 7 tomorrow, and 2 on Sunday.
Okay, 7, 2 and 7.
And it's going to be great. I'm coming tonight, so.
And you get in free with your badge.
There you go.
Rita, great job. Any other questions for Rita?
Thank you.
I just appreciate you guys coming and listening to me. I know it's an
Great.
early morning, and but I just appreciate you listening, hearing my story, our story.
She's quite humble, but a lot of this is because of what her vision, how it's transformed what we're doing. She does a great job. She doesn't give herself near enough credit. So I will just tell you, she does a phenomenal job. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. They do a lot of good.
Yeah.
When you see the talent and stuff, you're like, these are just middle school kids. A lot of really good. It's just hard.
Yeah.
It's hard even for the kids that are doing really great things and
Right.
working hard, and they've got, good supportive parents and all the things going well in their life, and still, it's just a hard time. It's why we look back at middle school with.
That's why when you said that, I laughed at myself because the memories I have are not anything. I mean,
It's a tough time.
Yeah.
These kids are going through a lot, and I think that we expect out of them that they're not going through a lot. They look like they're just not being very nice.
Mhm.
They look like they're just trying to challenge us and, not work hard. But there's just a lot that we have to be aware of when we're dealing with these kiddos. So.
Science class was always a good one. Mr. Miller, Mr. Wertz.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good. Yes. And that matters.
It does, yeah.
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 Mr. Miller would change everyone's name. It was never
Yeah.
their name.
Good teachers matter. Great teachers matter.
Yeah.
Great teachers matter. It really does.
And honestly, that's one of the things about the way that we do teaming here. Again, middle school's not for everybody, but provides an opportunity for teachers to really feel fulfilled and connected and like they're making a difference because of how we have things structured here. Teaching's hard right now. Teaching middle school's hard. And getting and retaining these teachers that are really great. You guys are fine. Is important. That's one of the most important things I do is hiring good teachers and then working really hard to keep them.
Yeah, Ari's 8th grade team, I've never had so much communication at this level. It's
That's
fantastic.
awesome.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
It's really good to hear. I had another parent tell me that not long ago.
They've done a great job.
Parent Squares help too, having that.
So,